The long-awaited Venom sequel, Let There Be Carnage, has just been released, and it did not disappoint, seeing the live-action debut of Cletus Cassidy as he wreaked havoc across the city was a spectacle to behold. But perhaps the most vital moment in the film came during the post-credit scene, which has major implications of Venom's future adventures and just might be one of the most significant post-credit scenes in the modern comic book movie history. So stick with us, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, as we break down the Venom post-credit scene and exactly what it means for his storyline and the universe as a whole going forward. Major spoilers lie ahead for Venom Let There Be Carnage, and I mean major spoilers, as this is one of the most important post-credit scenes we will get in the history of any comic book movie. And I urge you to go see this movie before you actually continue on with this video if you're not aware of the post-credit scene. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we were right. As many fans, ourselves included, have predicted, Venom is officially coming to the MCU. The post-credit scene showed Eddie and Venom on the run after their adventures chasing down Cassidy. They seem to be hiding out somewhere in Central America based on the architecture and the environment, but that's neither confirmed nor is it actually important. Venom offers Eddie a glimpse into the vast knowledge that the symbiotes have obtained over their eons before what seems like an earthquake hits. It's important to note that Venom seems surprised by this event, and it's unlikely that he was the cause, especially given all the multiversal tampering that we've seen so far in the MCU. When the earthquake subsides, there are subtle changes to his hotel room, though nothing jarring at first, until the TV turns on. On the television is none other than J. Jonah Jameson, played yet again by J.K. Simmons in the same iteration that we saw in Far From Home. As Eddie investigates, Venom seems to recognize the photograph of none other than Tom Holland's Spider-Man on the screen, wearing his Far From Home attire in a photograph that seems to have been taken just moments after the credits rolled on Far From Home's post-credit scene. Now, what are the important aspects to note here? The first is that Jameson is still talking about Peter and Spider-Man as the same entity, even after the multiversal shift that relocated Venom and pulled him into the MCU. This means one of two things: either the spell that Doctor Strange is casting in the No Way Home trailer has failed, or it was not the cause of the multiversal rift as we had previously believed. As again, chronologically this doesn't make sense, seeing as Jameson and the public still know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man even after the multiversal fracture, meaning likely it's not actually this spell that completely breaks the universe, as Venom has now entered the MCU before the spell occurs. This means that if Doctor Strange's spell is truly successful in resetting Peter Parker's identity, then the multiversal rift could have been caused by the rebirth of the Scarlet Witch, or some other fracture, and not actually caused by Doctor Strange. The second thing to note is that Venom seems to show some signs of familiarity with Spider-Man, almost recognizing him in some way, or at least recognizing him as either a celebrity or commonly known figure. This could potentially hint that there's an iteration of Spider-Man in Venom's universe that we have not yet seen, and Venom is recognizing the similarities between the two iterations of Peter Parker. Some fans have even gone as far as to advocate for the idea that the Venom universe is a direct continuation of the Amazing Spider-Man franchise starring Andrew Garfield in the titular role. And while this would involve some retcons, seeing as the Venom symbiote has been seen in the post-credit scene of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it is an interesting idea to consider nonetheless. So what does this mean for No Way Home, and will Venom be appearing in the film? Though the answer is uncertain, it seems likely that Venom will at least have a cameo appearance. Many fans have been skeptical of No Way Home stuffing too many characters into one movie, especially given the shortcomings and widely known pitfalls of the likes of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. But what many fans may not realize is that there is a fundamental difference between this movie and the previous two that just might give it an edge in including this many characters successfully, where the other two have largely failed. The main difference between these previous two movies and this one is that the other two had to take the time to develop entirely new characters within a single film's runtime. Sandman and Eddie Brock were both introduced in Spider-Man 3, and the film was also tasked with juggling Peter Parker's symbiote arc and Harry Osborn's character arc, which didn't help to alleviate the pressure. Likewise, Rhino, Electro, and the Green Goblin all made their franchise debuts in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that movie tried too hard to set up the likes of a Sinister Six film, as well as laying the seeds for the Black Cat and a myriad of other characters without focusing on the story at hand. This warranted devotion of precious time to their character developments and motivations, as well as Easter eggs and dangling plot threads that took runtime away from the story and the titular protagonist. No Way Home does not have this problem though, at least not to the same degree as these previous two entries, and here's why. If Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire make appearances in No Way Home, which has been all but confirmed at this point, then we know who they are and largely know what they have been through. Likewise, we are caught up on Tom Hardy's Venom story at this point, and No Way Home doesn't have to take any time to explain Venom's origins, where he is coming from or why he is involved, seeing as all that has already largely been solved. Even if the likes of Daredevil or Kingpin make appearances, they still have elaborate origins that have already been told and established via the Netflix series. Therefore, if none of these characters are making their first appearances in No Way Home, then No Way Home would be more closely related to an Avengers style of movie rather than another bloated Spider-Man sequel, wherein multiple characters with previously established origins all come together. The Avengers films have followed this same formula for years, giving characters their own standalone origins before finally integrating them into a larger film. The likes of the 4 Avengers movies, as well as Captain America Civil War and the Guardians movies, have successfully juggled massive casts of characters in the past. And since each of these characters were previously established to a degree, with the exception of the Guardians, the films worked and have been massive hits. Developing a compelling movie with a cast this large is what Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige do best, as even their larger films were still able to not only handle the principal cast, but films like Age of Ultron and Civil War were even able to introduce more characters relatively efficiently, allowing the likes of Vision, Ultron, and the Maximoff twins to make their debuts in Age of Ultron along with an already stacked cast of mainstay Avengers. Back to the post-credits scene briefly though. The major takeaways here again is that Doctor Strange is not actually the one that broke open the multiverse. It's also evident that Venom senses something in Peter Parker nearly immediately. Again, as we speculated, potentially even a familiarity with him. It is in fact possible that a variant of Peter Parker exists within the Sony Venom universe, perhaps even if it isn't even the Andrew Garfield depiction. At this point in time, it's looking most likely that it was in fact Loki that broke open the multiverse, and that this is a direct result of Loki and He Who Remains death, with Doctor Strange essentially most likely making the multiverse problem far, far worse. But anyway, my friends, what did you think of Venom Let There Be Carnage? And did you enjoy the film? And what do you think about the implications that the post-credit scene has on Venom's future, and the future of the MCU? Does this also add more evidence to the fact that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will be in No Way Home, if this universe jumping is actually possible? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.